Who is God? If someone walked up to you and asked, "Who is God?" what would you say? Most people pause, not because they don't believe in God, but because the question feels enormous. It touches something deep, something tender. Some imagine a distant force, others picture a strict judge. Still others think of a loving being who somehow feels far away, like a memory you can't quite reach. But the Bible gives a different picture, one that is personal, warm, and deeply reassuring. Jesus said at John 17:3 that everlasting life depends on coming to know God. That means Jehovah wants to be known. He wants a relationship. He wants you to know who He really is. Today, we'll explore 4 questions that help us truly know Him. What is God's name? What is God like? What has God done for us? What will God do in the future? As we walk through these, imagine you're meeting someone who already knows you, already loves you, and has been waiting for you to get to know Him too. What is God's name? Think back to the moment you met someone who later became important in your life. Maybe a friend, maybe a mentor, maybe the person you eventually married. At first, they were just a stranger, but then came something simple, their name. And that name became the doorway to a relationship that changed your life. Jehovah does the same with us. He doesn't hide behind titles. He doesn't stay anonymous. He says plainly at Isaiah 42:8, "I am Jehovah. That is my name." Imagine that, the creator of galaxies introducing Himself by name, not as the Almighty, not as the Force, not as the universe, but Jehovah, a name you can speak, a name you can call on, a name you can love. Jesus emphasized that name too. When teaching us how to pray, He didn't begin with our needs. He began with, "Let your name be sanctified," Matthew 6:9. And He said, "I have made your name known," John 17:26. Jehovah's name also reveals His character. Many scholars understand it to mean He causes to become. Picture a master craftsman who can become anything needed to accomplish his purpose. A protector when you're afraid, a healer when you're broken, a guide when you're lost, a comforter when you're hurting. Knowing His name is the first step in knowing His heart. What is God like? Imagine someone telling you, "I know a man named David." You'd probably respond, "Okay, but what is he like?" A name alone isn't enough. To know Jehovah, we must understand His qualities. The Bible highlights 4 that shape everything He does: power, wisdom, justice, and love. Let's explore each one through the lens of real life. Jehovah is powerful. Think of a night when you stepped outside and looked up at the stars. Maybe the air was cool. Maybe the world felt quiet for a moment. And as you stared upward, you felt small, but not in a frightening way, in a comforting way. Like you were standing under something vast and steady. Jeremiah 32:17 says Jehovah made the heavens and the earth by His great power. Every star is a reminder that the One who made them is not overwhelmed by anything we face. But here's the part that moves the heart. Jehovah doesn't use His power to intimidate. Isaiah 40:29 says He gives power to the tired one. Think of a moment when you were drained, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Maybe you whispered a prayer through tears. Maybe you didn't even have words. Jehovah saw it, and he strengthened you in ways you didn't expect. A calm thought, a timely scripture, a friend who reached out at the perfect moment. That's power guided by love. And here's something else. Jehovah's power is not only seen in the grand things, the stars, the oceans, the galaxies. It's seen in the quiet moments, too. The strength to forgive when it's hard, the courage to face another day, the ability to keep going when your heart feels heavy. Those moments are miracles, too. They are Jehovah's fingerprints on your life. Jehovah is wise. Have you ever watched a newborn baby sleep? Their tiny fingers curl, their chest rises and falls, their eyelashes flutter. It's astonishing to think that every one of us began as a single cell containing all the instructions for a complete human life. Psalm 104:24 says, Jehovah made all things in wisdom. His wisdom also shows in the Bible's counsel. For example, Colossians 3:13 encourages us to forgive freely. Modern research now confirms that forgiveness lowers stress and improves health. But Jehovah knew that long before science caught up. His wisdom isn't cold or intellectual. It's the wisdom of a loving Father who knows exactly what helps us thrive. Jehovah is just. Think of a time you witnessed injustice. Maybe someone was treated unfairly, or a situation didn't reflect the truth. It leaves a mark. It stirs something inside us, because we were made in the image of a God who cares deeply about justice. Psalm 37:28 says Jehovah loves justice. He doesn't tolerate corruption or favoritism. He sees motives, circumstances, and the heart, things human judges can't always see. But his justice is never harsh. Psalm 103:8 describes him as compassionate, slow to anger, abundant in loyal love. Jehovah's justice is the kind that restores, heals, and sets things right. And here's something comforting. Jehovah's justice means he sees every tear you've shed that no one else noticed. He sees every time you were misunderstood, every time you were treated unfairly, every time you carried a burden quietly. His justice means none of it is forgotten. None of it is wasted. None of it is ignored. Jehovah is love. If you've ever felt deeply loved by a parent, a spouse, a friend, you've tasted a small reflection of Jehovah's greatest quality. 1 John 4:8 says, God is love. Not God has love, not God shows love sometimes. He is love. Love is the reason he acts. Love is the foundation of everything he does. Every sunrise, every flower, every act of kindness, every moment of joy, all whisper the same message. You are loved. What has God done for us? Jehovah's love isn't abstract. It shows in what he has done and continues to do for humanity. He created us with a purpose. Genesis 1:27 says we were made in God's image. That means we can love, reason, appreciate justice, and build relationships. We can reflect Jehovah's qualities in our own unique ways. Jehovah also created the earth as our permanent home, not a temporary stop. Psalm 37:29 promises that the righteous will live forever on it. Imagine a world where every day feels meaningful, peaceful, and secure. That was Jehovah's purpose from the beginning, and it hasn't changed. And think about this. Jehovah didn't create us because he needed servants. He created us because he wanted a family. He wanted children he could love, guide, and bless. You exist because Jehovah wanted you to exist as part of his family. That alone is a breathtaking truth. He provided his word, the Bible. Think of the Bible as a letter from a father to his children. Through it, Jehovah reveals who he is, what he values, what he promises, and how we can draw close to him. It answers the questions people have wrestled with for centuries. It guides us through heartbreak, decisions, relationships, and hope. Jehovah didn't leave us to guess what he's like. He wrote it down for us. And the Bible does something else. It speaks differently at different moments in your life. A verse you read years ago may suddenly feel brand new when you're going through something difficult. That's Jehovah, speaking to you through his word, exactly when you need it. He provided the ransom. Imagine a parent watching their child fall into danger and doing whatever it takes to rescue them. That's what Jehovah did for humanity. When Adam sinned, we lost the prospect of everlasting life. But Jehovah didn't abandon us. Out of deep love, he sent Jesus to give his life as a ransom. Matthew 20:28. The ransom is the greatest expression of love in the universe. Jehovah giving what was most precious to save us. And here's something personal. If you were the only human who ever lived, Jehovah still would have given the ransom for you. That's how deeply he values you. What will God do in the future? If God is loving and powerful, why does suffering continue? Because Jehovah has chosen a specific time to act. And when he does, everything will change. Here's what he promises. He will end all wickedness. Satan's influence is temporary. Hebrews 2:14 says Jesus will bring to nothing the devil. Imagine a world where evil simply doesn't exist anymore. He will establish his kingdom over the earth. Jesus taught us to pray for God's kingdom, a real government that will bring perfect justice, peace, and security. No human government has ever achieved that, but Jehovah's kingdom will. He will make the earth a paradise. Psalm 37:11 promises peace and delight. Picture a world where families feel safe, communities thrive, and every day brings joy instead of fear. He will remove sickness and death. Isaiah 33:24 says no one will say, "I am sick." Isaiah 25:8 promises that Jehovah will swallow up death forever. Imagine a world with no hospitals, no funerals, no grief, only life, health, and joy. Even those who have died will live again. Acts 24:15 promises a resurrection. Jehovah's future is not just better, it's breathtaking. So, who is God? He is Jehovah, the loving Creator who is powerful, wise, just, and above all, love itself. He created us with purpose. He gave us the Bible to guide us. He provided the ransom so we can live forever. And He promises a future filled with peace, joy, and life. Most importantly, He invites us into a close friendship with Him. James 4:8 says, "Draw close to God, and He will draw close to you." The greatest privilege any human can have is to know Jehovah personally, now and forever.